My name is Roman from the Let's Talk Design podcast. On this podcast, I started this podcast so that I could learn from people who are far more experienced than I am and have lived a life in industrial design or in other design professions and have some useful skills and perspectives to give to other people. And my plan was to start this podcast so I could learn from others as well as so that others who tune in can learn from these people. And I think that the design community, this will really help build the design community, and I think that there's not enough of these kind of platforms out there. So I would like to start this platform, and I hope you enjoy it as we go along and meet all these amazing people. Today we have Anton Ruckman. Anton Ruckman is a tutor, a practicing designer on international levels, and I think you'll really find his podcast interesting. So I hope you enjoy. So first, I'd like to thank you, Anton, for coming onto the podcast. And yeah, thank you for providing your time to come speak and chat about your experiences in industrial design. Just a bit of background, Anton and I have known each other for a while. I first met him my first year of industrial design at QT. He was a tutor at the time. And since then, we've kept up communication, and I interned for a couple of months with his practice. And yeah, and then now I thought it'd be interesting to have him on the podcast. He's had a very long career and I'm sure a lot of experiences that would be very interesting for other up-and-coming designers to learn about. So just introduce yourself, give a brief explanation of where you are currently in your design career, and the kind of projects / organizations you have worked with in the past.
Okay. First of all, thanks, Roman, for inviting me and having me on this podcast. It's important. I believe it's important to share and create this community. And again, thanks for this opportunity to be part of this this celebration of design and communities. So briefly, I would say about myself. Do you want how do you want it from the beginning?
maybe a brief summary. We don't want to be here all day, you know.
Yeah. So to summarize, I would say I'm multidisciplinary designer with a career over 20 years already. I travel a lot. I was born in one place, moved to another place, and then from there, few times more in different places around the globe. Today, I'm running my design agency here from Brisbane, and we are doing mostly consumer electronics design and development of consumer electronics, consumer products, some industrial applications, and yeah, something like that.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. And any specific organizations you worked with in the past that you'd like to mention that you think would be interesting?
Yeah. Okay. So here I need to go back a little bit to my history. And maybe for some people it may be interesting, and actually I believe that it's a good example for young generation to be more open and open for opportunities that actually bringing you more opportunities in terms of design and understanding of different cultures, understanding different clients, and work on a number of projects. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I was born many years ago in Moscow, Russia, in period of Soviet Union, and then when that country collapsed, my family moved to Israel. I grew up in Israel. I studied industrial design in Israel in a school that actually was set up, organized many years ago by people, ex-Bauhaus people who ran away from the Germany to the Palestine or / Israel. And the school, following the major rules of Bauhaus, it's form follows function, and this I believe until today one of the most important principles of industrial design. So after spending 20 years in Israel and working with number of clients, medical devices, security devices, different type of high-end and kind of high precision products, there was opportunity for me to move to Hong Kong and China, and to start working on totally different field, that soft goods. Instead plastics and metals. I opened for myself the world of fabrics, stitching processes, laminations, and etc. It was a very interesting 5 years of my career, and I learned a lot about those materials and how to work with those materials, how to design and develop bags and other products that includes fabrics, leathers, and different kind of materials together into one product. At some point, I felt like, okay, I actually missing this precision, and I moved back to the industrial design in terms of kind of plastic and metals products, and I work for a Swiss company. Today it's not exist anymore. Swiss Voice. We design and develop phones, kind of like office phones and first mobile phones for elderly people. You may know and remember these big buttons, small phones with big buttons. So something like that. And to continue my career, I felt like, okay, I know a lot in the plastic injection, plastic related products, metal products and soft goods, how I can use all this knowledge and combine in something in one product and work on design that include all those materials and manufacturing methods. And I met very interesting person, the German guy who actually just started his company, the company name Cosmo Supply Lab, and in one year we jumped from one manufacturing facility through the not in 1 year, 3-4 years. It became 5 manufacturing facilities, and we did the DFM, design for manufacturing, for the major consumer electronic brands such Apple, Microsoft, and Google. So there also we work on some project for Huawei, fashion brand Coach, and few more. And this was the peak at that time. It was the peak of my career, and the opportunity to implement and put in a product all my knowledge that I kind of combined from previous jobs. For example, we developed this soft keyboard for iPad cover, you know. This one example that the Cosmos Supply Lab developed. Beside all those cases, leather cases, silicone cases for iPhones, from iPhone, what the oldest one? I think it's
one.
not the one, but we started, I think, from the 5th generation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I spent that company 5 years, and that was time I was already kind of prepared to start my own journey. And back to Hong Kong, I opened my company there with two mechanical engineers in Shenzhen and few freelancers. So I work in Hong Kong as an agency, and during my kind of family growth and have two kids today. We moved to Thailand, where I work for another company parallel with same time running my own. I was managing director of design in Detect Design Company. It's engineering company, but with very kind of, let's say, most of the project that came from engineering, and my job was to mix and match engineering and design, and this what I believe this core of my principles, that the design it's equal engineering.
I think that's interesting because like in the past it was kind of the other way around, right? Like engineering was almost seen as the thing you would do that would be, and then in the end you bring a designer in to kind of polish it off. And then it kind of moved more to design is prioritized. But now I feel like it's balancing out, and like engineers and designers are working collaboratively on a lot of projects.
Look, to be honest, for me, and for me, it always was one part of a big deal, let's say. I never separate design, engineering, and also the companies that I work with. The right principle it's to work together on anything. It's not like engineers, they have some mechanical solution and you need to make something around. It's became, in this case, sorry, it's became pure styling that I actually hate this word. Because unfortunately, most of the people outside of our field understanding design as a styling process.
Exactly.
But it's totally wrong. And my role as a designer, product designer, industrial designer, I see myself to explain and take this wrong. To explain people that you cannot separate those things. Otherwise, you will receive a very bad designed product with uncomfortable and not manufacturable solutions.
You get one or the other.
And same, I would say, from design perspective, when you start to design something, today I cannot even imagine and push myself in a position where I just doing beautiful sketches without thinking what's inside, what the structure inside, what how I'm going to manufacture this, what type of material I use, what components, what the architecture of components inside, if you're talking about some consumer electronics. So I mentioned to you actually before we discussed about this that my methodology, I call it the inside out, to work inside out. Always start with components and see together with electronic engineer or mechanical engineer, depends on the project, together in collaboration to find the best solution, how to arrange those components inside, and parallel with this process to start working on enclosure around those components. So again, I cannot think other ways.
Yeah, that's great. In your long career in ID, how have you observed the industry evolving?
Oh, I think it's very good question, especially today.
Mm,
Uh, we are living right now. We can see revolution just here with all those automation and AI and many different softwares, and in the same time new materials and manufacturing methods. It's really interesting time, and I believe as a designer you need to be aware about as much as possible
mm,
what's happening around in different fields, and be like a sponge to absorb all this information uh, and uh, and try to implement in your designs.
mm,
So, for example, there, as you may know, today it's a huge discussion in the design community about AI
mm,
and how to use AI. If it's good to use AI in design process, if it will kill our profession or it will help us. Uh, I I think AI today, and I hope it will stay same. It's a tool. We need to use it, but keep in mind it's just another tool. It's another software. It cannot complete or take full control on the process
mm,
because anyway everything starts here
mm.
and here.
Yeah.
So the connection between your brain and the pencil, it is still number one. In terms of, I was thinking actually a lot about this, and we discussed with a number of people. The design education today also need to go through this process
Mm,
and change. And I think the future of designer, how, as a professional, will be changed from sketching CAD research analysis process into two major things that still one, it's a classical approach uh, of the sketching first to bring your ideas to communicate your ideas easily. You need to be very well prepared in terms of how you can visually communicate your
mm,
ideas. And the second part, actually the new part, it's how your knowledge and your capabilities to communicate with AI in the right way,
mm.
to ask right questions, and to be actually the designer more and more needs to become like a writer.
Yeah. Know,
Yeah.
knowing the right question to ask. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So those two skills, one is a classic and one is new. It will be kind of very uh, very good platform
Mm,
to be a successful designer tomorrow.
yeah. Do you
I think we have number of softwares today to implement our ideas, like Rhino, Fusion, SolidWorks, Pro-E, Alias, Keyshot, etc. But with AI opportunities, like we don't need to spend our time to build with mouse or with even with VR. I,
mm,
I think designer will become more and more philosopher
mm,
and it's funny to say it's kind of contradiction to what I believed before. The designer, it's not artist, but in the modern world and the next steps, as I say, designer became more writer and sketcher. So it's their possibility to be more and more creative and less stick to the screen and buttons and mouse and draft angles and screws.
The only issue I see is like, have you heard of the current debate with Midjourney and all these other platforms around copyright? Because all these images are just coming from a platform originally. So this is the only thing I was thinking is like, as far as originality, like you were talking about how will become more creative with these platforms. Like, will it be creative, or will we just be less creative? Because it's still just basically collecting all these images and all these like models and products from the internet and like just creating a modification of it. So like our product's just going to be more and more similar, and it'd be harder and harder to think freely from that. That's the issue.
Yeah, you can say this, but look, even today, even without AI, we're doing the same.
This is true.
We have Pinterest, we have Google, we have Behance, La Manouche website with a lot of trends. So this, I believe, this is a part of creative process to pick what you do like and create something new. And I don't think it's big difference between who is doing it. I mean, my brain will take those images from everywhere, or machine. At the end, today we are living in a world. Again, it's my personal opinion that we are not. We cannot, let's say, reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Everything was done already, and if you're looking into the past and the history, also there they took from the history. Everything already there. Our job, our kind of what we can do, and the good designer doing this in kind of right way, it's to collect this information and transform this information in something looks like new. In the same time, I think it's good to have in a product that the product actually will have some story to tell and be connected to some historical references. This actually the point that maybe I don't know yet because Midjourney it's a quite new thing. How it will work, we don't know yet. In terms of to take those historical references in the right way, in the right proportions, how to implement them into the new design. Yeah. So, and here it's our role as designers to teach the machine and put our understanding of how the product needs to be built and absorbed and used by somebody else. Yeah, so it's definitely interesting time. I also tried Midjourney just few days ago. Finally, and it's quite it's fascinating. How in 3 seconds you can get something quite good, but still it's a tool that you cannot use it as a design solution. It's a next level. I see this as a next level of Pinterest mood boards. It's some people, and I agree with them. Some people saying Pinterest it's a killer of the design creativity, because
Yeah.
especially for young generation,
Everyone's the same reference material.
yes, yeah. And we can see, unfortunately, we can see that there definitely a lot of cool stuff, really cool stuff, well made, but we are losing individuality, character of the products.
Mm.
Everything became same, monochrome, matte, or with some glossy details, same materials, same color palette, same Pantons, yeah, same 3D shape. I mean, 3D patterns that most of the time actually cannot be produced easily. It's great to see renders, but when you're thinking in terms of, okay, where's the parting line? How to inject it? Unfortunately, it's all digital beauty. And Midjourney continue this development of this digital beauty that not really connected to the physical life.
It's
So
interesting when you think about these designers of the past, like the famous designers like Ames. You read up on what like their design process, and generally, like obviously there was no Pinterest or these kind of things back then, but a lot of them actually are inspired by the history. Like they'll be like, I designed this. Like for example, Alessi, I designed this kettle because I looked at this building in France, right? And that's like they're almost drawing from the past, whereas these
yep,
days we're always drawing from the present. And I feel like that's like a big lesson you can learn is like look to the past,
absolutely,
present.
absolutely. And I totally agree with you, and I think it's very important, very important. If you're talking to the young generation, to the young designers, my my suggestion would be go back, learn the history, art history first, design history second, and different cultures. Put aside the Pinterest, put aside the Midjourney, be the human first, be a person who know the history, who know the understand the process, why this shape became like this shape. It's not from nowhere because of some historical process, and understanding of this process will give you the opportunity to update in the right way, not just to create another beauty shape, but meaningful beauty shape. Some story behind this. Why we all like some products almost subconsciously, like, oh, I like it, but especially just regular consumer, yeah, they I like this glass because it's nice. But as a designer, if you know from where this pattern, for example, or this shape came, what for me it's pure remind of Greek and Rome columns. It's an architectural element. Yeah. So it's almost to know how to create sort of DNA to implement aesthetic DNA into your product. But without knowing the history, you cannot do it. And this is why most of the product today, they kind of nice, but blended. It's like, okay, whatever, next. You know?
Do you think that when we think about the past, we have all these amazing designers that we're constantly learning about in university, and you know we always go back to these people like Leslie and Ames and all these famous designers. Do you think we will remember the designers of the present day, or do you think they'll be forgotten and we'll keep remembering these people from the past?
I think the era of big masters, it's over. It's already over.
Yeah.
And I would say it's finished. We still have them, like last dinosaurs,
Mm.
but I don't see after them some new names will stay forever. Let's say, like, and it happens not only in design, in entire culture,
Even music.
music. If you're going back to the 80s, 90s, you can say there was a maximum like 5, 7 really big stars. Yeah. Just like Madonna, Michael Jackson, who else? Yeah. Today, we have tons of great and talented people, artists, but it's a mass production. Yeah. Same in design. Before it was like Philip Stark, and others, Mark Newson, and today, what? Mark Newson still there, Konstantin Grichik, Brother Campana, and a few more. Just I don't know, for example, the new names. I don't think there are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some people, but yeah, will they ever be as influential as the people of the past? So it's interesting, like even with Ames, like you see a chair and it's just a standard chair of everyday life. But then when you look into the history, you realize all these standard designs were designed by him pretty much. And like before that, there wasn't like these chairs were never a thing. Like the classic like egg chair, it's like everywhere in the world. Every IKEA, every Kmart has these now. And it was all like the original egg chair idea came from him. And it's just quite interesting. Like people like that probably will have the biggest impact on design in history. You know, yeah. Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, you recently moved to Australia from overseas. How have you found the Australian design scene compared to other countries?
I think there, again, it's my observation from as an outsider still, and I see there are a lot of opportunities today. It's I think it's still young, but promising place for designer to be here and work on some innovative projects. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of manufacturing support. For example, I try to bring my clients and even local clients to produce here in Australia. And unfortunately, it's just not make any sense from the business perspective.
Yeah.
So all supply chain, all the parts that you need, it's all in China, and it's much more quicker and cheaper. Even the China for last 10 years became much more expensive than it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But still, it's very difficult to compare with that place. And in terms of design community, I think we have a lot of talented people here, and I met many talented guys and girls, the designers, but somehow we are not still working as a community. We are trying, and I hope our podcast, your podcast, will help to develop this community better and better. But is I see there are number of different groups that works separately. So we need to be more strong together, create more work together. Of course, it's sort of competition, but in the same time, it's good competition. It's good competition, and we need to know each other better to raise our level to the highest standard.
Are you open to collaboration with other agencies and consultants?
Yeah, definitely. For example, I cannot tell you exactly the projects, but today I have a project with a number of people, not agencies, but number of people, very talented people that you also know them, but yeah, it's a great to work together, and each of us bringing something valuable to the table, and yeah, it's fun. It's fun to work with.
That's good. Yeah. In terms of key technologies that you think every designer should know to stay competitive in the coming years, you've already mentioned AI. Do you have any other technologies you think will definitely be needed?
Beside AI, look, I don't think we need more and more technologies. We have enough. What we need is to think about ourselves and to think about others. As a like, remember this book of Papanek, Design for People? Yeah. So we don't need the technology, just the tool. It always should stay on the background. Yeah. And this one of the biggest problems of many startups around the globe, and the startups that clients that I work with, the people starting with technology. Like, because technology evolving so fast today, the people like, oh, I have idea, I have this technology, what to do with technology? And unfortunately, most of them, they just forget about why. Yeah, the most important question that designer as well need to ask the client, why? Why are you doing this one? Why you're doing it this way? So I don't think we need more technology. It's good to check and try. For example, yesterday I tried Viscom, that this sketching AI.
Viscom.
Viscom. Yeah. So Viscom, it's a kind of paintbrush. You can draw some abstract shape, and with more precise brush to give the machine, like for example, this is some bubble. You draw a line, so the bubble became sharper in this way. So it's automatically convert your sketch into the 3D render. According to those guys on their website, they're amazing sketches of cars made by. But I tried, for example, like 5 minutes, like not 5, 10 minutes to create something really. In 2 minutes with a pen, pencil, marker, I will do much better, faster, and most important, my brain. Why this is important to explain why sketching it's so important for designer, because it's not for presentation. It's not. Let's say it's part to communicate, but biggest part of the sketching and to be able to sketch in a proper way, it's a process how your mind thinking. It's like you became writer. You cannot keep everything in your mind. You became writer when you start to put your thoughts on the paper. Same for designer. When you sketch something, through the process, you understand, here I need to make this curve. Or what if I will try another one? So it's a process. And if you skipping this process and jumping directly to the cat and key shot, you will be in a great Pinterest position.
But not a very good design position.
But no more, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I struggled with along the way is like early on in my degree, it wasn't really pushed that we should be the best sketchers. Like they constantly said, oh, it's okay, you don't have to be great at sketching as long as you can communicate ideas. But I think if they said you need to learn sketching, like spend your time, get really good at sketching, by the end of the degree, I reckon I would be better. And I mean, I've really worked in the last couple of years to get better at sketching, but that was by my own accord. Like I really didn't have to do that to get good marks at uni. Like I could have just continued not sketching well and just roughly communicating my ideas. But like now from like my time like at your studio as well as just generally researching and like learning more about ID, I realized sketching is a very important skill to have, like almost more important than CAD, I reckon, because like you can make nice things in CAD, but if there's no
See, it's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The CAD, it's a machine tool. It's before it was CAD, today it's Midjourney, and who knows what will be tomorrow. But sketching, it's you, it's your process, it's your mindset.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. I think more young designers should have that emphasis because these days I think there's too much emphasis on CAD and keyshot and rendering and things like that, and less
on technology. Yeah, but in this case we are losing ourselves. We are selling ourselves to the machine god, and the machine will decide what is right, what is wrong, not actually right for humanity and for end user. Not always.
Yeah. Well, this leads on to my next question. What skills do you see designers who graduate being limited in from their education at university? And like, what can they improve? How should education be improved so that they don't leave with these lacks of skills?
I think working with a number of students who came here as interns and working with a number of students overseas as a freelancers, I found that many young designers, what they're missing, it's a knowledge of materials, how to use those materials in what proportions, way, and understanding of actual physical parameters of the materials. Yeah, it's number one. Number two, as we discussed a lot today, it's a knowledge how to communicate through the sketching, visual communication, knowledge to try different options. Yeah, what's happened today, like somebody making one sketch and jump to the CAD, but did you try another options? No. So, and this what I see is quite big problem. Quite big problem. So materials, sketching, understanding of manufacturing processes, methods. Of course, look, I'm my point of view from totally my perspective, who is working in industry and in specific kind of let's call it classic product industrial design. But the beauty of our industry that we have so many like different funnels, and everyone can find himself in specific funnel place that he or she like. Yeah, some people going to the design strategy, so they don't need to have capability to create beautiful handmade renders or sketches just because they don't need. Yeah, somebody going to the agencies like or companies who do the interior design, they need some sketching. They need to understanding the basic understanding of perspective, how to create perspective, how to draw perspective, to see the spaces and understand spaces.
Yeah.
And others. So, but again, I really kind of deeply believe in a classic academic design education. So, the platform, art, and culture. Next step, it's history. Actually, it's both history of art, architecture, design, music, because all this, it's mix of one beautiful thing. Like without this one, you will continue to create technological projects that missing the project, missing the soul, the characteristics. Yeah,
that's one thing I reckon is very, very prominent in the common day. We spoke about this privately about even cars. Like they've lost that emotional aspect that they used to have, and now they're just these rigid pieces of matter.
yeah.
And
Don't start. Yeah. And this is the reason why people like this nostalgia. People, you see on the street old Mercedes. I'm not saying Porsche, that I'm a big fan of Porsche. And you're like, oh, look, it's big because it creates emotions. You see the new cars like Kia, Kia, like it's nice, but it's not touching you. Like, okay, next.
Yeah, I think they're obviously moving more and more towards the science fiction realm in a way. Like I feel like with current car design, current design in general, it almost looks like something out of an old-fashioned sci-fi movie. But like at the same time, you're losing what you're saying, like that emotional aspect, because science fiction isn't necessarily emotional.
I think it's funny because it's related not only to this design but entire world. Let's say the car industry and many industrial designers, they trying to be in the future, live in the future, and not looking to the past and not looking to the present. Yeah. And it's the same not healthy situation as a person, as a human. Like there are no futures, there are no past, they're only present. We need to live in the present. Of course, we need to kind of estimate and fantasize what is in the future and look back to take some inspiration to understand the past. But we need to be here. And this is why I'm surprised everyone when I see the projects, student projects, like about some solutions, smart solutions, sometimes good solutions for the future, very complicated projects for the future to solve some problems in the future. And I think, but we have so many problems today here.
Mm.
Why not to solve this problem right now here?
Mm.
Yeah. So, but it's controversial discussion, and I mean, you can see this from different perspectives.
I suppose this probably starts off from an education perspective, because like we're taught in university to constantly think about the future. Like what do they call it? What is the wild card that could happen, and designed to fix that wild card? But as you're saying, like we're not necessarily taught to design for the moment, maybe as much as the future. But that is probably because inherently design is very much like you don't necessarily design for the moment. You design like for what's going to happen 10 years down the track, and like that product shouldn't just die. There should be a future for it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, it's correct what you're saying, and this is part of education process. They trying to put you to create something, to unfold your creativity in this specific way. We can talk about if it's right or not, or what type of tools need to be applied to kind of unfold your creativity. But the problem that people became to the studio with this vision that we need to create the future. But the client came, I need this product now.
Yeah.
Not for the future in next 20 years.
It's not very realistic.
Yeah. Of course, at the same time, it depends on the level of the project, on the level of your client or customer. Yeah. There are definitely projects that in terms of technology and involvement of other socio-economic things, like we need to work towards the future. But some projects, it's like for today, tomorrow, maximum. Yeah.
What is the immediate solution?
Yeah.
In terms of sustainability, obviously our industry is moving more and more towards designing sustainable products, designing with sustainability in mind. Do you see it becoming a significant a factor on the future of design in the coming years, or do you see that it will continue in the kind of trajectory it's going?
I think I see this as a very important part of any project, and we're trying to implement it those thoughts about sustainability as much as possible. Unfortunately, it's not always happen because of a number of reasons, and the main reason why we cannot see all those sustainable solutions around us yet, because of entire system. And as a designer, we can propose and try to design better products, but at the end, unfortunately, the system not allowed us to bring those ideas to the market for a number of reasons. If you're talking about recyclable solutions or some materials that are more sustainable than others, that can be recycled, but those materials cannot be recycled here in Australia because there are no facilities for this. Or some products, like many companies, they claim that this is a new product made from recycled plastic, so we tick the box. But still, it's a plastic. Still, it will finish in the ocean. So, and also the manufacturing process, all supply chain it's not built for sustainability, and all businesses it's a very, very thin layer, almost like a ozone layer around the globe, so thin that we cannot see the sustainability implemented into our products around us. But that doesn't mean that we don't need to think about this and try to work and design to achieve better results. Very important. And most of the projects that I'm doing here, we're proposing always one option as a sustainable option. But again, it's always at least 30% more expensive, more difficult to manage, and most of our clients, we are not working with huge corporations. We're working with startups and the brands. They just cannot afford to take this path yet.
Yeah,
because it's too expensive.
That's the thing. I suppose what you're saying is true. It's a system change, not an individual change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the change should come from the bottom and from the top, but mostly from the top. Maybe I'm wrong. I know some companies, and one great example, the Earth brand from Byron Bay that I work with them. The camera accessories, those guys, they're trying to change the system from the bottom and doing this quite successfully. Yeah.
That's good. For the moment here, let's imagine 20 years from now. How do you imagine industrial design has changed? I know you're saying we don't live in the future, but it's an interesting to.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, I think we already touched a little bit this question. What I can add to it, my vision that the designers became more craftsmen. Let me explain. With all this, my journey, Viscom, and others, it will take a huge part of our job in terms of we don't need to spend time on CAD anymore or renders, especially lighting position, material choice, etc. So it's kind of could be. I'm not saying, but could be, and I wish we'll go to that direction. That the designer became more like old school maestro, working with a crafting design, creating the art, and machine will solve this art ready for manufacturing. But look, there's so many different directions and funnels in the design industry. What is right for one, it's not correct for another one. But I think in the next 20 years, maybe we'll see more unique kind of individuals. Like maybe we go back to those superstars, and I hope so. And the rest will do the machine will help them to create amazing pieces of design / art. Some objects.
It's almost like an integration with the AI.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Moving back to your professional life, what key lessons have you learned along the way that you think would be helpful to upcoming designers out there?
Try as much as possible. Get out of your comfort zone, travel as much as possible. I know it's difficult to say today. Who knows if the COVID will come back or not? Nobody want to be stuck somewhere, but travel to absorb different cultures, different material like food, fabrics, different materials that came with those cultures. Absorb it, because at the end, if you want it or not, somehow it's in your library and somehow you will use it in some point. Yeah. So get out. Don't sit in just in Brisbane of where you are today. Travel more. Meet more people. And sketch.
Get better and better at sketching. Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for that, Anton. And yeah, I wish you all the best with your future, and I'm sure I'll have you back on the podcast soon.
Thank you, Roman. It was my pleasure to be here. Yeah, cheers.